Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees. Well, there's another starting pitcher in the midst. Now, after the deal of getting Corey Kluber, the Yankees do make a trade to get Jameson Taillon from the Pittsburgh Pirates. And this was rumored, for a while. Again, there was a talk that the Yankees would go after Taillon and Josh Bell and kind of get both of them. But no, that doesn't happen. The Yankees give it 4 prospects. The number 15th, one in their system was like the biggest name. Again, a lot of these small prospects are not old enough to, purchase alcohol yet. So who really knows, how they're going to pan out for Taillon. Now, he is young. He's only 29 years old, only making $2.5 million. So you're getting a starting pitcher with, making relative peanuts. But of course, the big question mark is, had 2 Tommy John surgeries, as well as, did have to fight back against cancer a couple of years ago. Obviously the cancer part seems that's away, but of course you always say those 2 Tommy Johns, how's he going to bounce back from this? But for the Yankees, I think it's a good deal. Again, just adding another quality arm there. You didn't really give up that much. You didn't have to give up Clint Frazier or like that, or you don't have to give up like Davey Garcia or anything like that. So I think it's a good move for the Yankees. And look, you look at this rotation. Now you slot him there with Corey Kluber, which yes, there's question marks because he's coming back from an injury. There's question marks with Severino as well. Again, he's coming back from injury, but hindsight, let's just say, for the most part, these pitchers stay healthy for the rest of the season. You look at a rotation now, which includes Cole, Kluber, Severino, Jameson, and of course the number 5 is going to be a roundabout of Davey Garcia and the Montgomerys of the world. But as you can see, really big upside here. And there's going to be points this season where some of these pitchers are going to go down a little bit, and you're going to need a Montgomery to step up for a while or a Garcia to step up for a while. That's fine. So really good deal for the Yankees. So they get that one, get that in. Now, was what kind of unexpected was Adam Ottavino. They ship him out to Boston. Which, your main rival to do that is kind of a head scratcher, but they get his money off the books. And for Ottavino, kind of mixed feelings on him. I mean, he was good for the regular season, but of course, you remember 2 seasons ago in the postseason, he was pretty much gassed out by the end of the year, but had nothing left. Really, I don't know if you really want to blame that on him as not. And again, last year kind of wasn't that great for him, but again, the short season with the 60 games, so really hard to judge that. But the move was kind of out of nowhere, but did make sense afterwards because now it looks like the Yankees are now going to acquire Darren O'Day. 38 years old, but again, he's really, really tough on right-handers, great relief pitcher, and probably you say maybe a slight upgrade over Ottavino and not making as much money. So, once the day signing happened, of course, then it makes sense why they shipped Ottavino out. And as for Tanaka, again, kind of sealed deal. We kind of knew this as well. Looks like he will be returning to Japan at least for 1 year. So could he come back in 2022? Who knows? But again, Tanaka will not be in pinstripes for the this upcoming season. So that's all we have in Yankees land. So now we're going to switch up things and make it a little interesting. We're going to go into Dodger territory. Now, of course, this past off season lost a lot of greats to the game. Of course, very recently Hank Aaron, but of course some Dodgers such as Don Sutton, but of course one of the biggest names, not just for Dodgers, but this in baseball in general, Tommy Lasorda. So here to talk Tommy Lasorda and a little Dodger baseball, we're going to bring in Doug McKain. Now, he covers the Dodgers for DodgersNation. It's a big blog platform site. They have over 175,000 followers on Twitter. So Doug is here. He also hosts the podcast Dodgers Dugout. But again, he's here to talk some Dodgers, talk a little baseball, but I definitely want him here to talk about Tommy Lasorda. So let's bring him on. Hi, Doug. Welcome to the show.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Doing great.
Happy to be here. Happy to talk some Yankees, talk some Dodgers. Talks
I got the blue. I got the blue here for you. Blue Bronx.
I like that. Hey, always respect the pinstripes. There's no doubt about it.
People can follow you on Twitter at DMAC_LA. And again, you cover the Dodgers for DodgersNation, which we'll get into, which people can also follow on Twitter at DodgersNation. You do the post-game show for the Dodgers at DodgersNation, as well as you host the Dodgers Dugout podcast. So a lot of great stuff. And again, it's a pleasure to have you on. Tell us about DodgersNation. What is it? I mean, you guys have over 175,000 followers on Twitter, so it's like a major Dodger platform.
Yeah. So what DodgersNation is it's a website that basically we cover all things related to the Dodgers, everything you can imagine, and if it's happening with the Dodgers, you're going to find it at DodgersNation.com, from news, analysis to rumors to we've opened up to podcast, a lot of live streaming. Kind of the flagship show is the Blue Heaven podcast, hosted by Clint Pasillas and Brooke Smith. And I do the post-game show. So we go live after every show, and we're on Instagram. So pretty much we cover all angles of the Dodgers, and we kind of get into some of the fun stuff as well as kind of the hard-hitting analysis. So really, it's just a site that's just really grown throughout the years. And it's when people mention the Dodgers Nation, they kind of attach us to the entire fan base. So it's kind of the home for all things Dodgers. And yeah, definitely give them a follow on Twitter. We'll get you up to date on all the latest with the boys in blue, and it's just a lot of fun stuff. So yeah, it's really really popping off, especially now that they're the defending World Series champions. So it's good times.
Yeah, absolutely. And, there are a lot of Dodger fans in New York just from the old, Brooklyn Dodge heritage. And this is the way, a lot of people now just go cross country, moving here and there and working. There are, when the Dodgers do come to the New York, whether it's to play the Yankees or the Mets, there is some significant blue there. So again, a lot of people do check in on Dodgers. And again, it's a high profile type of organization like the Red Sox, Dodgers, and so forth that just seem to have a following, any city you go into.
Yeah, no, I mean the Yankees Dodgers, it just doesn't get any bigger. They're like really like almost sister franchises. When you think about it, the two biggest media markets, the tradition between the Yankees and the Dodgers. You mentioned they actually faced off in 11 World Series in their franchise's history. So the tradition's there. I remember when the Yankees came to town a couple years ago, I was furious because we went to the game and they're wearing those players only uniforms. Remember those?
Yeah,
like the all white and all black. I'm like, dude, I want to see like the road gray Yankees uniforms with the New York on them. I didn't even get the Yankees hat, So, and it was really fun. I mean, the Yankee fans, you know how you guys represent. You guys don't mess around. We were partying after the game, even a loss. You guys were a rowdy bunch. I love it though. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the respect for the Yankees franchise is a lot of people always want. It's the dream World Series, I think, for Major League Baseball. I thought we were going to have it in 2017. We probably should have had it in 2017 if it weren't for the Houston Astros, right? And then they faced off in 1981. So I'm hoping in the next couple of years in this run, you'll get a Yankees Dodgers matchup at some point. But yeah, it's an exciting time to be a fan of both teams, really.
Yeah, and they're both in a good, a place where they're going to be successful a number of years. And I couldn't agree more. I hate those like funky uniforms that just go off the fray a little bit.
Yeah.
I think only the San Diego Padres could do it because when they want to throw on the camo, fine. But again, if you have a situation like Yankees, Dodgers, you got to have the traditional uniforms on there. It just, kind of kills the whole thing. And,
exactly.
And I remember there's some classic games at Dodger Stadium. This with the Yankees recently. I remember there was that one where I remember Broxton. The Yankees were down by 5 runs against Broxton. They actually came back. Then Cano hit this was like maybe it's going back like 7-8 years though.
Yeah.
Then Cano, it was like Cano hit like an extra inning home run game like that. So yeah, definitely some classic games, there over the years as well. And just quickly, now just going to this offseason, even though he said the Dodgers are the champions, but they're kind of somewhat of a quiet offseason. Like they're going after Justin Turner, but other than that, it's been relatively quiet.
It really has. I mean, it's kind of how you frame it, because the Dodgers, they make the big trade for Mookie Betts, and they made that trade in February of last year. And then you expect that he was going to go take that whole entire year and enter his free agency. And then the Dodgers would be in the running to re-sign Mookie Betts. But instead, they got that deal done before opening day. So really the way it could look is the Dodgers could have had Mookie Betts the whole season, win the World Series, and then sign that big 12-year, $365 million contract. And then it looks like, the Dodgers made this massive signing in the offseason. But instead, they've just done some minor moves really along the way. They bring back Blake Trinan, who they had signed to a 1-year, $10 million contract. Remember, in 2019, they had one of the best years for a reliever in the game's history. In 2018, fell off in 2019. Then in 2018, it was more of a 2020, it was more of a reclamation project for the Dodgers. And they bring him back on a 2-year deal. And the kind of right now, the big story is Justin Turner, because the Dodgers, they definitely need more power from the right side. They need a steady right-handed bat. You've heard the Dodgers name mentioned in a lot of big trade scenarios. I don't know if you noticed, remember Jim Bowden, he had said that Nolan Arenado was going to be a Dodger by Christmas Day. It's way past Christmas. He's still on the Colorado Rockies. So you expect him to sign some bigger players. Some fans did, but really there's so much talent in this core right now that to me, it's more about bringing back some of these players that are currently on the Dodgers under contract, like Corey Seager, who's entering his platform year. He's a Scott Boras client. So will he re-sign with the Dodgers before entering free agency? Then you have Walker Buehler. He's going to arbitration. Will they try to extend him? But really, you've heard the Dodgers mentioned in some other big names out there. Marcus Semien is a name that was floated around as being linked with the Dodgers. And that to me didn't seem like a great fit because, yes, he's got the positional versatility, but as a bat, really, save for that 2019 season, really been a below average hitter. So DJ LeMahieu was the big name. That was the big name that got a lot of Dodger fans excited. Could they bring in the best hitter in the game, the reigning AL batting champ in DJ LeMahieu? That would have really changed things for the Dodgers, because the Dodgers already have the power, but bringing DJ LeMahieu, who can hit for power too, but his bat-to-ball skills are second to none. I think that was the one that the Dodger fans are really hoping for, but not too many big moves. You're right.
Yeah, but even though with that in mind, again, this Justin Turner, even if you can maintain him, which I think he he's really put together a nice career. Because I remember just on the other side when he came with the Mets, kind of like a good contact hitter. No one thought much of him, and there was like some rumors that maybe he used to like drink a little too much after games like that. So they kind of shipped him out, and he's really put together a great career. Nothing, probably if Met fans had any idea what he would become, no way to let him go. And of course, now he's gonna be a world champion. I think he would come back. But again, I think you guys are pretty tight. He's still gonna have Kershaw in there. Price, you get it as you can get Price back as well. So I don't think you guys had to make really needed to make moves. Got a solid team, but again, like I said, with the Yankees and Dodgers, you always expect a big name out there, just because like I said, fans kind of expect it.
Yeah, I mean, with the Dodgers, you have the prospect capital to pull out big trades. You have the financial resources. They haven't gone over the luxury tax since 2017. I think they're going to go over it this year. But the Dodgers have shown in recent years that they will pay depending on the player. They're going to pay guys like Mookie Betts, 12 years, $365 million. They offered Garrett Cole a big deal last year. It just he wanted to be a Yankee. I mean, anytime you hold that sign for like 20 years, the Yankee sign he had the Angels game, he was going to be a Yankee. He was going to be he was headed to the Bronx either way, and obviously you paid him too, the highest AAV, that $330 million deal. But they offered him a big deal. They offered Rendon a big deal. They offered Bryce Harper that 5-year contract with that high AAV. So really the Dodgers are about getting the premier players, but also having the depth and maintaining that flexibility, because they don't want to be locked in to these contracts that won't age well. They offered LeMahieu, I think it was $60 million for DJ LeMahieu on a 4-year deal. He ends up signing, I think, 6 for $90, right? So they are offering big money for some of these players. It's just there's a lot of great talent that they're banking on, but there are a lot of questions too. You mentioned David Price. David Price sat out an entire year. He didn't have a great 2019 season. He's been injured a lot. I mean, he had that injury, we couldn't even feel the baseball. He's 35 years old. So that's a big question mark. If he can come in and he can be a steady number 3 in this rotation, that's going to go a long way for the Dodgers. And they also need some of these young players, some of these young starters to take a leap. Guys like Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, Julio Urias, who really became a household name in last year's postseason, going 13 to third scoreless innings out of the bullpen. But that was out of the bullpen. As a starter, gave up some runs, gave up a home run there to Arozarena. But then again, who did it? I'm pretty sure I even gave up a home run to Arozarena last year in the postseason. So yes, the talent is there, but there are some moves that the Dodgers could potentially make. And the big one really right now is, will they find a way to get Trevor Bauer on a short-term high AAV deal, or is he going to the Mets? I think really personally, Trevor Bauer is really all over the place. At this point, I'm hoping he just signs by the All-Star break. But I wouldn't count out the Dodgers on that one just yet. And then as the season starts, will they try to make a move? Will they try to make a move during the season? Because that's what Andrew Friedman has done in his tenure as the Dodgers president of baseball operations. You see big moves for Manny Machado, Yu Darvish. So I think that there's still potentially some moves to be made during the season, but it's just the right moves really for the Dodgers right now.
And one great player for the Dodgers, Cody Bellinger. I guess, even though we're in this world of satellite and internet, we can see other players, but, for people who may on the East Coast, they don't watch much, West Coast baseball, like what makes him special? Like, how good is this guy?
So Cody Bellinger, what makes him good is, one, he's an outstanding defender. This guy can give you Gold Glove caliber defense at multiple positions. He could be a Gold Glove first base if he wanted to, but the center field is where he excels. And really, he's got a great arm, but it's the ground he covers, his UZR score, his range. You saw some of these plays that he made last year in the World Series. For other players, they're diving for those balls, but he has these long strides and covers so much territory that he makes some of these plays look routine. So defensively, he's absolutely outstanding. Defensively, he can be offensively with the bat, he can be inconsistent at times. Now we have this theory that from odd years to even years, it's always different. So His rookie season, 2017, when he won Rookie of the Year, he had 39 home runs. In the following season, he hit 260, had a drop off in power, hit 25 bombs. Then he followed that up with his 47 home run MVP season where he was hitting 305. And then last season, he kind of made some adjustments to his swing, made some minor modifications. It wasn't a complete overhaul, but it was to the point where you could feel him thinking out there a little too much. And he definitely struggled at the plate with the bat for stretches last season. Last season, he had 239. But I think Cody Bellinger, what makes him special is this guy has light tower power. He's got a beautiful swing from the left side. And I think to him, it's just becoming more of a consistent hitter, not always, and just trusting who he is. I mean, in 2019, he hit 305. And I think he kind of wants to be that hitter that hits for average, but really should just focus on hitting for power and being that slugger that he is that got him the MVP. But to me, I mean, it's funny that you asked about Cody Bellinger because a lot of Dodger fans out there assume that his dad, Clay Bellinger, was on that 98 World Series Yankee team, that he'll end up in pinstripes one day. That's actually my personal guess. I think that he'd be perfect in New York if he doesn't come back to LA because of his power from that side. But he's just a ball player. I mean, this guy can run the bases at an elite level. Everyone expects Mookie Betts to be the fastest guy on the team. The fastest, most athletic guy on the team is without a doubt Cody Bellinger. So this guy's a great player, and he's just 25 years old. So, yeah, Cody Bellinger, great player.
Yeah, I like the light tower power. That might be the first time I heard that one. That's a good one. And
hey, man.
His swing would be great for Yankee Stadium. Again, about 314 right field to be, you'll probably hit like 40 home runs easily. His father made a great play. Never much of a great hitter, kind of a utility type player, but it was the 2000 World Series Game 1. I forgot it was against the Mets, in the Subway Series World Series. Timo Perez is like on first base, whichever. I think it might have been like Todd Zeal hits a ball just on top of the wall, but Bellinger grabs it for, makes the play, throws home. Timo's kind of like, trotting home. He thinks he's got an easy run, and Bellinger throws it in there. Jeter grabs it, throws it home, and get the guy out. And again, kind of a small little deal, but that's probably his father's like great highlight was that.
That's pretty cool. I don't know why I've never seen that. I got to check that play out.
Check it out. It's Game 1. Just like put like Timo Perez or Bellinger Game 1 of 2000 made a great play, and that was probably again never much of a hit or anything like that, but just that one play. Yankee fans will just remember that always. Another great Dodger player, of course, Clayton Kershaw. Of course, a number of years, the monkey on his back, couldn't pitch in the postseason. This is like, maybe our version of, or your version of Sandy Koufax of his generation. Can't get that championship. Finally gets that championship. I mean, just, real quickly, how important is that for him?
I mean, to put it, it's really, I don't think I could ever feel happier for a player to win a World Series than Clayton Kershaw. This guy, it was like he had an 18-wheeler filled with grand pianos on his back. That World Series, and that having that relief right now is just so important for him because this guy is the pitcher of his generation. As far as look, I mean, he has the best ERA in the regular season for pitches over 2,000 innings, and not those innings, but I think that really what it comes down to with Clayton Kershaw is the fact that in previous years with Don Mattingly and different management, he was pitching on 3 days rest. Also, he had the bad luck of the inherited runs, so. They're giving up inherited runs at such an insane rate that it was a combination of bad luck. And also, you just have to be honest, he did have some clunkers in some of these big games. Game 6 of the 2013 series against the Cardinals comes to mind where Clayton Kershaw didn't have his best stuff. But at the same token, he's had some big moments that kind of really don't get talked about. Game 1 of the 2017 World Series, 11 strikeouts, no walks, first time since Don Newcomb in the World Series. And just for him to get that World Series, it almost reminds me of John Elway having a great career and then find a way to get that Super Bowl at the end there, really just takes it to the next level and puts a finishing touch on what's already been a Hall of Fame career. But that was really the only thing that was missing from his trophy case. He has the 3 Cy Youngs. He has the MVP trophy. He has the no-hitter in 2014, which really should have been a perfect game. If it weren't for Hanley Ramirez's error there, it would have been a perfect game. So Clayton Kershaw has really done it all, won it all now, and I think he wants to add more. I mean, I really do think, look, he made a trip out the drive line last offseason. You saw an uptick in his velocity, and that was really the big difference between him last season was that velocity was up a full tick, and when he's hitting 93 on the gun, that slider is a different pitch. That curveball that Cooperstown curveball is much more of an effective pitch. And I think just him getting that World Series title, it's just a big sigh of relief for not just him, but all Dodger fans who have had to hear, oh, Clayton Kershaw can't pitch in the postseason. Clayton Kershaw's this, he's that. It's just funny that you hear all this stuff about he was that, but at the same token, he passed Justin Verlander for most strikeouts in the postseason this year, and now he has a winning record in the postseason. And yeah, you just couldn't be happier for him.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want a situation like, look like a Dan Marino here in New York with Patrick Ewing, great players who,
Yeah.
Hall of Fame players, but just need that one ring just to, kind of button it up. Again, like you said, he's a Hall of Famer anyway, but just to have that ring definitely makes the world a difference. Unfortunately, the, number of Hall of Famers and people within baseball and, have passed away, whether it was COVID, not COVID, but of course, one of them, Tommy Lasorda, kind of one of the biggest names in baseball. He's got one of those character types that it was bigger than the game. Just really quickly, just like, what did he mean to the Dodgers and baseball itself? In your view.
Oh, Tommy Lasorda is he's pretty much like the North Star for the Dodgers. A lot of the things that you associate with the Dodgers, like Dodger Blue, that comes from Tommy Lasorda. In fact, they actually recorded a song called Dodger Blue in the 70s because he would use that term so frequently. And then when you associate them, and then also Dodger Stadium, calling it Blue Heaven. But I mean, the guy is the longest tenured Dodger employee, worked for the organization for 71 years, first as a player, then as a scout, then as a third base coach, then as a manager, then as the GM. He actually took over as the interim GM, and then he became a special assistant to a special advisor to the chairman. And he's pretty much the Dodger ambassador. He really embodies all things about what the Dodgers stand for, as far as the way the game is played, the tradition. And yeah, I mean, I think my favorite thing about Tommy Lasorda is he was a pitcher, right? So he was a pitcher that was on the Dodgers, didn't have very much success. He did have one game. We had a 25 strikeout game, believe it or not. And he was actually, because of the bonus babies in the 50s, he was actually replaced by Sandy Koufax. So Sandy Koufax took Tommy Lasorda's spot on the Dodgers. And Tommy Lasorda would like to say that the only thing that could kick me out of the big leagues was the best pitcher of all time. So yeah, Tommy Lasorda, I mean, this guy had a larger than life personality. He impacted so many of his players. You just hear all of his players, past and present, even guys that didn't even play for him, almost felt like he was their manager because he was such a presence at the Dodgers spring training site every single year. And yeah, I mean, Tommy Lasorda really means everything to the Dodgers, no question about it. Him passing away, though, having been his last game was Game 6 of the World Series. And he had always said that his goal was to live till he was 100. And he said that I'm not going to go until the Dodgers win another World Series. And he would call it that big Dodger in the sky. I'm not going to the big Dodger in the sky until the Dodgers win another World Series. So for him to see a Dodgers World Series, I think that eases the hearts of a lot of Dodger fans that are definitely still feeling it.
True. I consider that. And funny enough, someone brought it to my attention. I didn't even know. Actually, Lasorda actually spent a brief amount of time in the Yankee organization, only 22 games. But I think if you look back, he juggled around between 56 and 57, 58 between like the Kansas City Athletics, the Yankees, and the Dodgers. Actually, but for the Yankees AAA organization, he actually played 22 games. And actually, I didn't even know that. Someone brought that to my attention. So there's a little connection there. Even though he didn't get to play at Yankee Stadium as a MLB, on the major league level, but he was in the Yankee system for like a cup of coffee, apparently.
Yeah, I mean, it almost feels. I mean, just feels like a real New York. Almost feels like the New York connection with Tommy Lasorda. He played for the Yankees at one point, with the Phillies organization. In fact, on his good friends of Frank Sinatra, and he told Frank Sinatra, if I become the manager of the Dodgers, you have to sing the national anthem on my first day. And he actually did. Frank Sinatra sang the national anthem on his first day as Dodger manager. And yeah, I mean, he won 8 division titles, 4 pennants, 2 World Series. He was a Dodger manager from 76 to 96. So really, I mean, everyone loves Tommy Lasorda here, man. He's just such an icon. I mean, the definition of a legend. And it's going to be different to see that seat hopefully empty. I'm hoping that the seat remains empty, his seat at Dodger Stadium. I was hoping they'd name the dugout after him, whatever it is, because he's just so integral to the Dodger brand that they developed. A lot of that comes from Tommy Lasorda. I think he has so many great quotes. He's like, why do you like double headers? Because I get to wear my uniform longer. If you're not a Dodger fan, you probably won't get into heaven. I mean, this guy just bleeds Dodger blue like no one ever before him.
Yeah, and of course, another big Dodger fan, unfortunately, also passed away recently, Larry King. I mean, just going back to his Brooklyn Dodgers day, but again, it's just kind of weird that the two of them kind of grew up in the same era, almost the same age, more or less, and again, within a couple of weeks of each other, unfortunately, passing away. But just getting back to Lasorda real quickly, did you ever get a chance to meet him in person?
I actually, I mean, kind of like, I mean, not like really formally. I've been around him, like seen people like say hi to him. I'm always kind of, I'm always kind of you give people their space, in like certain situations like that. But a lot of people, but yeah, my mom has some really good stories about meeting him at an airport, at the game. And this guy couldn't have been more generous with his time. I mean, everyone likes to joke that he was the most photographed man in the history of the world, because if you notice when he passed away, it seemed like every single person had a picture with Tommy Lasorda. So this guy wouldn't turn down pictures. He would always tell people that the Dodgers are nothing without the fans. So would always encourage people to send, to sign autographs, to take pictures. But the funny thing about him was he was such an interesting guy, where he could be the nicest, kindest, loving guy. And then one of my favorite moments with him was some of the times that he went off on certain players. Like, have you ever seen a YouTube video with him and Baklava of the Padres where he gets into it with him?
I didn't see that one. I saw one report.
You got to see that. It's amazing.
Yeah, there's one video I saw where I think when Yogi Berra was like coaching the Astros, some like reporter kind of came behind him with a microphone. He just turned around. I was like, "You better not be recording that," and really got in the guy's face.
Yeah, no, there's those moments too. This guy was a tough cookie. Like he was a fun loving guy, but as soon as it was time to play, he was all business, and that's what his players say. And I think that, look, I mean, Tommy Lasorda, you got to give him credit. He took that 1988 Dodger team, which was a very unlikely team to get to the World Series, and then he makes the call for Kirk Gibson to get in the game, and he hits the most memorable home run in baseball history, in my opinion. I think a lot of people would agree with that. So yeah, he really got the most out of his players, and yeah, Tommy Lasorda is just an absolute legend.
Again, Doug McKain, pleasure to have you on. Again, people can follow you on Twitter. Again, DMac_LA. Get that
That's
underscore
me.
in there. You got to get that
Yeah,
underscore. Dodgers Nation, check it out. Even if you're not a Dodgers fan, check it out anyway. It's a great site. It's a big following. Pleasure to have you on. And hopefully, 2021, we have that Yankees-Dodgers World Series.
Oh, I hope so, man.